Okay, yeah. This Jeff Eaton. Man, I'm gonna tell you how I remember meeting it. So you don't know this, but I applied for almost 65 jobs. I had my master's, I had 3 training certs. I was a GA or volunteer / GA at TSU. And they hired a girl from Oregon, which is funny, right? Hindsight, because you coached at Oregon.
Crazy.
They end up hiring her and didn't take me, and I had been there for a full season. So I decided to just finish my master's and leave. And I was frustrated because I knew I was good. And like maybe that's honestly why when I applied for all these 65 jobs, I was reaching out to people, didn't get one call, bro. Like I didn't even get to shake. Like nobody even looked at me, I thought, man, I'm like, what? I thought I was training all these people, you know what I'm saying? I got people in the league, but it didn't matter. And then one day, Thump, Coach Belton,
Yep.
his friend he played school with, T-Bar,
Yep.
were frat brothers. He connected me. Well, really, Coach Belton didn't even want me to come out here. He wanted me to go to Vanderbilt with Coach Dodd. When I went to go meet Coach Dodd, I'm not speaking bad on his name, I'm just keeping it real. Coach Dodd dismissed me. Like he like put me to like, he was like, hey, we got 4 pay positions. Like I walked in because I had trained like 4 or 5 other guys at Vanderbilt. So when I walked in, I saw a couple of the running backs, people I had been working with. And I walked in as soon as I shook his hand. As soon as I shook his hand, he was like, hey, man, we only got 4 paid positions. I kind of was like, Coach, I'm just coming over here to kind of get to know you. And he literally just dismissed me to the 4th assistant coach. You know what I'm saying? Which is crazy because 2 years later or 3 years later, I end up doing the same strength coach. I end up doing a 8-week program with the baseball team with the gym I'm at now by myself. It's crazy. It's
Oh,
crazy.
that's God right there, man. That's
But
God.
so long story short, we're just saying it. Me and Laura have been married. We got married September the 5th. Shout out to Laura because she's always had my back. We're going on 18 and a half years, bro. And we sold everything. Pretty much we tried to have a yard sale and we wasn't selling nothing. So we just called everybody and was like, hey, if you need some stuff, come through. So we gave everything away. She moved back with her parents. I had enough money that we got through everything to buy a one-way ticket out to Vegas. So fast forward, T-Bar introduced me to Coach Belton. On the phone, Coach Belton, you know, he arrogant. You know what I'm saying? He like, well, we done had a lot of interns and GAs come out here. They don't last. You probably ain't gonna last. But he was cool. He was like, man, he just told me kept it real. But the thing he said was, you'll have a meal plan and you'll have a place to stay. And once me and Laura prayed about it, I hopped on the plane, I flew out. Fast forward, I never knew who Jeff Eaton was until he pulls up in the oh God, you pulled up in the gray whip. I
Yeah,
can't even
Chevy Malibu.
Yeah, Chevy, bro. You pulled up in the Chevy. I got off the plane. It was like automatically, I can't breathe. It was like 115 degrees when I got off the plane. But my first time meeting you, dude, you pulled up in the waiting area, big smile on your face, never seen you. You dapped me up, was like, let's go. I was shocked because everything I've been through, you didn't know me, I didn't know you. You told me on the way there that your now current wife, Beth, was your girlfriend, y'all were dating. You told me then, you was like, hey, there's 2 things. I got a dog and I got a girlfriend I'm living with. And I was like, oh God. You know what I'm saying? Like, he don't know me, I don't know you, but not one time did you like question who I was. Like, it was just like, are you good? So that was my like first run in with Jeff Eaton. Like, we get there first night, you like, hey, here. Like I shoved all my stuff in that bathroom under the closet. And I knew Beth was pissed. Because I mean, come on now. She like, I don't know this guy. This guy could be a murderer. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I knew that me and Laura had agreed on it and I left. So once I really started to find out who Jeff was like, I was shocked, bro. Like, kind of tell them who you are, how many volunteer positions you did to get to where you're at now. Now I'm gonna say this. Jeff Eaton has worked for Baylor, right? Yep. You've worked for UNLV. Yep. You worked for University of Oregon, yep. The Ducks, and now you're at the University of Miami. But before that, how many internships or volunteer positions, how many years did you do it before you got paid?
It was a total of about 7 to 8 years before I actually got paid.
Why?
Yeah,
Bro,
man.
why?
I mean, I don't know, man. I look back on it now, and it's a great question, man, because I think about it a lot. And I just felt like I truly believe that God was just continuing to like put me in the positions of growth throughout the whole time that I was interning. Sometimes I would fight, whether or not I thought I was ready for the next step. And then God would literally put a situation or circumstance in front of me and to basically humble me and say, no, you're not ready yet. Like you got to keep going through this, whatever it is that I had to go through. And that in that case, it was interning, all the way across the country. I mean, bro, I went from, East Coast to Penn State, I was still in school actually when I was working with Penn State. And then once I was getting ready to graduate, I moved across the country to San Diego State. I was living in San Diego out at the time. And it's like, okay, now I'm in a new environment, never been out there as an adult, like figure it out, right? Just get your feet wet and do what you got to do. But bro, the whole time I'm doing that, I'm like questioning whether or not if this is the right path that I'm on, because I'm not getting paid. I'm the lowest guy on the totem pole. I'm the first guy in the building. I'm always the last guy to leave. You had to figure out whether or not I'm going to sleep in the facility because I'm so tired. Like, I don't want to go home. Like, it doesn't make sense. I got to wake back up at 4 a.m. anyway. So I might as well just sleep on the couch. So those like humble, really, really humble moments, I truly believe that that's why I guess everybody, can say what they want. It's 7 years, but dude, without that time, I'm not here speaking to you. Like, I don't have a Jarrod Houston moment where we meet at the airport and it's like, hey, let's roll. Like, that mindset comes from the experiences of interning for 7 years and just saying, okay, all right, new chapter, cool, good, bad, indifferent experience, whatever. Let's just write it down. All right, put it in a book, move forward. Let's roll. I've always had that mindset, like, look, man, if you surround yourself with good people, good things will happen, but also like give people an opportunity when they need or deserve an opportunity. So
I say like it's funny because the lady that I'm working with that's helped me with all this, she is amazing. And she's a godsend. I will one day sit down with her and figure out how this even happened with her being my day-to-day. Because the way my bank account works is it's, what I'm saying? The way my bank account works. But I remember the first morning we got up, right? Like I came out on the field, I didn't have a whistle, I didn't have a stopwatch, I had my shoes untied. And I knew I've always belonged. Like I knew that I was there. But Coach Belton came up to me and kind of like nudged me, like, hey, bro, tie your shoes up and don't come. And he was like, hey, don't come back out here unless you have a whistle and a stopwatch. Y'all didn't know that I always had a whistle and a stopwatch in my bag. But we was dropping cones. I never forget it. We were dropping cones and I dropped the cone. It was off. He was like, man, your drop game is whack or something like that. I was like, what? Like, but then from then though, I knew that we was gonna hit it off. Then when they came out the tunnel, when they came to the side right before they built it, they came on the field. It was like, because the first day they had like everybody working out, and I knew Coach, I knew y'all was finna try me. Like I always work out, bro. Like regardless, even though I'm out of a surgery right now, like bro, I just got through sparring, but this is what I do. But I knew y'all was gonna test me. So we came out in your energy, and I saw Belton's energy, and I was like, and this is who I am. Like I can do this. Because I really was questioning everything because it was so hot. People's shoes was melting. Like they was having that first day was crazy because then they went into camps, and that's how we kind of got started. Like that was my first thought about you, was like, man, like he opened up his house. But then fast forward a couple weeks, I'm always gonna say what I say. And I remember we was having a conversation like, you can cook, bro. You was cooking a meal. And I knew I said something that offended Beth. I did. And
I don't even remember that.
oh, I do, because from there we was driving the next day to go to practice, and it was early, right? Like, I'm up early. I'm folding my stuff. You can't say I wasn't no good roommate, bro, because I can't.
Yeah,
Come
boy.
on, bro, because I didn't want to be in the way, like,
Yeah.
but I knew I had offended her, and because some stuff we were talking about, and I could tell that I didn't want to be, I didn't want to impose. So on the way there, we was talking, and then I was like, I knew I didn't have a meal plan, because then coach was like, hey man, the meal situation and the room situation is messed up. So we got to figure this out. He was like, we'll give you a 10-week stint. If we like you, then you can stay. I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm broke. Like, I've kept my money to, like, I know how much I got in my pocket. It was $350. And I'm like, all right. But we was driving. He was like, yeah, bro, like I was supposed to get a car um, as the assistant coach.
Yeah.
And right at that moment, I was like, dang. I was like, I can't even say nothing, because that first we stopped at that gas station right down the street from your house, and I gave you like $20, and I was like, if he's the first assistant coach, and he ain't got what they tell him they gonna give him, then I know I'm in a situation.
Yeah.
So I knew it was then. But then after that day, he was like, Jarrod, like I got all my stuff. After that second or third week, I got all my stuff out.
Mhm.
And I don't even know if you noticed, but I was sneaking into the school.
Yeah.
Uh, every
Never knew
once in
that.
a while, I'll go to Thump's house, but I didn't want to be a pressure on you. So I can't remember the tonguing, bro. Um, O line or D line. He caught me one night, and they actually ended up giving
Tuli?
me boxing. Yes,
It might have
yes.
been, yeah, he was Tuli. Yeah. Tuli
So
Tongan.
he actually caught me one night sneaking in, and I thought I was gonna get in trouble. And they actually brought me a box of pizza, but I was staying in that office with a cot, and I was sleeping up against the window because security was coming in. And then one night the door was locked, and I was trying to like sneak in because I was going everywhere. I climbed that fence out there with the auxiliary section where the turf was,
Mhm.
and I ended up staying outside, and I was like, I can't do this. So I called Laura, and I was like, baby, I can't do this. I was crying. I was like, Lo, like I can't do it. She was like, literally, I'll never forget it. She was like, Jarrod, we agreed on this. And I was like, what? She was like, just stay. So I never told her that I was sleeping in the office. I never told her, like, y'all thought I was up setting up stuff in the weight room because I was getting there early. But I knew that you was going through your struggles, and I was going through mine, and I didn't want to impose on anybody. So yeah, bro, like I was staying in there.
Staying at the crib, man.
But
Damn.
nah, bro, because I knew. You got to think about it. Y'all was in a one bedroom apartment, like to share that with a grown man and to go back and forth was humbling for me. So I knew, like, man, I'm not gonna put y'all in a situation, because you was already like me. Once I meet you and we bond,
Yeah.
hey, it don't matter. I'm fighting the Lord. Like, nah, he's staying here. So
Yeah.
I did, and a couple nights. What was the equipment lady's name?
Oh, not Miss Sam. That was nutrition.
That was nutrition. I think
Rocky was the nutrition, or was the equipment guy.
the equipment guy, but the head black, she was the black lady that helped. I'll think of her name.
Oh man, I got her in my phone, but
I got her on my phone too, but she caught me one night sneaking in. I thought she was going to tell on me, but she literally walked over there and she went and gave me a couple of those UNLV blankets, and she unlocked Coach Belton's thing for me. She was like,
Miss Tasha.
Tasha.
Miss
She
Tasha.
she was like, yup. She was like, just make sure you're out before the morning time. Because every morning the security came in and checked around 2 or 3 in the morning. So she was like, just make sure you're out. And it was starting to get cold around that time. But
Yeah.
this is what leads me into this.
Golly, man.
Fast forward through the season, I took off San Diego State, and we're going to digress and we'll go back, because 2 games before that, me and you had our first official run in, and you not a little guy. But I was fighting for my life. I was literally fighting for my life. I didn't realize that now I had went a couple years back, right before COVID, right after COVID. I realized that I couldn't control my emotions. There was something wrong with me. And I sat down and I was like, God, what is going on? Like, I can't figure it out. Like, I was always going through highs and lows. And they gave me a bunch of diagnostic tests, all this crazy stuff. They started throwing out words like manic and bipolar and PTSD and all these things. And it hit me like, what? And then it made me even more scared because I started putting together the things that I had done in my past and why, like, I started seeing the cycles. I started seeing when I was going through spells where I just spend a bunch of money. I started seeing times where I told you, it's always hard for me to be a friend. Like, I can be there with you, but when we ain't together, I don't know how to reach out. So I isolate myself. Like, people say, man, are you close to Coach Eaton? I'm like, bro, that's a bro. Like, if he called me, I'm gonna figure out how to get there. They're like, when's the last time you talked? I was like, I don't know, like 5 years. You know what I mean? Like, but that's to me, because as a man of color, it's a stigma. Like, when I tell my mom, hey, mom, they told me I was bipolar, or they told me that I was manic, or they told me that I had PTSD and that they put me on this medicine. Like, you don't need no damn medicine. Everybody struggles. You'll be all right. So I didn't know what to do except isolate. I didn't know what to do. So during that time, I think Coach Belton thought I wasn't in it. Like, I would always give my energy. Like, we was the hype, bro. Like, we was always on the field. Like, bro, like, get back. Like, you used to be like, Jarrod, you need to be I need to get back coach for me. Like, I'm in it. But I realized during that time, like, I was spiraling.
Yeah.
And when I was sitting in those rooms by myself on that cot, it was cold. I was in that room. The lights never went off. The only thing running through my mind was killing myself. And there was nothing I could do except pray. There was nothing. I couldn't call my wife because the time zone changed. I couldn't call her and tell her that I was really struggling. I couldn't call her and tell her that, man, all these extra burritos that we make it in the morning, I'm throwing them in the bag. Like, that's all I'm eating. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what led to our first kind of eruption on the sideline. As we was hype, man. It was a great game. It's when our Johnny Manziel ran that 99-yard run.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Johnny Manziel, people, but I called him Johnny. He was Johnny Manziel before Johnny Manziel. Man, that boy was cold.
Yeah.
But we got into it, and I was like, I was breaking, man. I didn't have anybody to talk to. And I think Coach Belton realized it, and he was like, man, I can make a phone call and get you a job out in Orange County, and you could teach some classes, because I had my master's, and I thought he was giving up on me. And during that time, I just sat in there, dude, and I did many nights. I just cried. I didn't drink. I didn't smoke. I definitely didn't go to the strip. And a lot of times coaches would be like, hey, man, you think you too good. You know what I'm saying? And because I knew my weakness, like, even you asked me one trip, you was like, bro, you're not going to come out and kick it with us? And because I couldn't, because they didn't know I was an alcoholic. I drank every night before. I smoked every night before. And then when God found me, I changed everything. Like, I went from selling, making money, to doing all these things, being caught up in the lifestyle, to where one day God came and God touched me and I threw away everything. And then from there, I was homeless. Like, I was in a master's program, sleeping in my truck, going back and forth, and nobody knew that. And I was training guys just to make money. So today we're talking about what's hard, because I never wanted to talk about it because it was celebritized, right? Like, people started talking about mental illness and mental health, like just to sell a sleep app, and I never wanted to say that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, no, I feel you.
And it hits you directly. So tell me how it affected your life, and we'll get to Kenny, but how it affected your family. So you talk and touch on mental health, because I know we've talked about it briefly on our trip. So you tell me how mental health and illness affected you.
Yeah, I mean, well, first and foremost, man, golly, like, I can't even thank you enough for just sharing that with me, bro. I know it takes a lot, and I truly mean that, bro. Like, that's another huge weight off of your shoulders. And and to be in your presence, bro. Like seriously, man. I've said it before, man. I love you, and you're my brother, and I always got your back, and you need to know that, you know. But you got to get, you know what I mean. You got to get that praise towards you, because what you just said was a lot of the stuff that I struggled with like early on as a child, man. Like I would say from like age 5 till more so like, man, the end of high school. So, you know, from age 5 till about 17, 16, 17, that's what I struggled with, is as far as the mental health stuff. But as a kid, I think it started with my mom obviously passing away. I know me and you have talked about that. You know, the last thing that I remember from her is, you know, her passing away, and because I was in her arms, you know, when she died. That's literally the only memory that I have of her. So that was like the first kind of like traumatic experience for me, of really just losing somebody so close. You know, it blows my mind now. My daughter's the same age as I was when my mom passed. So I'm like, sometimes I have these days where I freak out and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I hope nothing happens to me, because, you know, like Eva's the same damn age, man. Like it's crazy. But yeah, going through that, man, that was really like horrific. It was just a shock to the system and a shock for me and my brothers. But just getting moved out of your house all of a sudden, and then I moved with my aunt across town, and I would say honestly, man, the second loss was like my dad not taking us in. Like, you know, I got 2 older brothers, and you know, there's 3 of us, 3 young boys, and it's like, yo, why don't you want to even take us in? Like, you have an opportunity for custody. You know, why not help raise us? Which I come to find out later that, you know, he was just down on his luck and, you know, didn't have the means, which was cool, but I feel like he should have just expressed that.
Yeah.
Instead of, you know, going into court and just saying, hey, I just don't want my kids, like whatever. But there we go. Like, there's a stigma behind expressing your emotions. My dad grew up in the rural South of, you know, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, on a plantation. So he's seen things that I could never even imagine, which, fast forward, thank God I was able to find out from him before he even passed. So but yeah, that loss of not, it was like almost like being rejected. Like that was huge. It was really, for me, it was really hurtful. But thank God for my Aunt Jane, man, who you know, basically raised us and brought us in and did the best she could with my 2 brothers. But as a kid growing up, it was really tough, you know, in the situation that we were in. Good house environment, like good neighborhood. You know, don't get me wrong. We went from living in basically the hood to the suburbs, which was cool. But like we were the only, you know, only Black kids in the community, and it was, you heard the N word a lot. You know, outside, you heard it on the bus. You know, constantly getting in fights with other people. My friend, you know, not my friends, but my brothers were constantly trying to defend me. You know, from people that were, you know, just picking on us. But I would say around probably around like 6th or 7th grade, I was physically and sexually abused by a person in my, you know, in my family, and by a friend of the family. And that was like, I can't even describe it. It was like just feeling like empty. Like it's feeling like you have no purpose, no one to go to, because you're so scared that everybody's going to judge you. You're afraid that, you know, something's going to happen to your family, right? Like you're going to get split up. My biggest fear was I'm always going to get judged, number one, but I'm going to be away from my brothers. Like my brother's going to be taken away from me because we're going to go to foster care, and, you know, child youth services just going to come in and like break up my family. So
this is where I'm gonna stop you. So I knew that there was other connections to us, and that's why I tell everybody, like, so I was molested. Not say molested. That sounds. I was raped. Let's just keep it real.
yeah,
For many years. And that's what I wrote about in my book. Like the first person was supposed to be a safe place. She was a pastor of a church.
It's crazy.
And I was molested by my cousin. So you got to think about, like, there are so many reasons what make us who we are. I feel like when those things happen to you, obviously you're a product of your environment, but that's why the Jeff Eaton of the aggressiveness of the can't control you, because you become an adult then. When you're a child and you experience those things, you become an adult then. So that adds to that, right? But I can never tell anyone. I never told anyone until my 30th birthday. So you holding on to that with your father, feeling rejected, holding on to your mother, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then realizing that you don't have a voice, bro. That right there is a concoction for the best drink of mental health and mental illness, right? Because this is what we don't have. Right. Communicate to talk it out. Like, I respect you on another level just for being able to tell me this. So keep going, man. There are so many things that God puts people in your life for. And I think, like I say, it's not just because it's men of like attainment. Like, we've been through similar things. And I think that's why we clicked from day one. Now, did we have misunderstandings? Yes. And we'll get to that. But I think us being an understanding of each other's spirit and understanding, like, hey, man, like, I've been where you've been. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
So keep going, man. I just,
No, man, honestly, like I said, bro, it was a feeling of just like empty. Like, you just feel like you can't even, it's almost like you're walking through on a path, and you can see the light at the end, but then all of a sudden the light goes out and it's literally it's just you, and you don't even know where you're walking. That's how I felt. I'm like, yo, like, everybody hates me, number one, but also, like, I'm going to get judged just because why is this happening to me? Yeah. But, come to find out, like, the person that did it, obviously a friend of the family, but then the other person that was doing it was, like, very, very close to me. And I'm not going to point that person out, but, like, I had found out years later that happened to them.
Yeah.
Right. So there you go. Okay, it's now a trend. And I was a person that we grew up with down the street from where we were raised, like, from when I in the city of Reading, where I grew up in, to when I moved out, that person was still there. So it's like, okay, this happened to, I can't even imagine how many people it happened to as we were growing up. So there you go. That's how that made that connection. But then we talked about, like you said, like, God puts people in your life. I truly believe that my mom passing away has something to do with that. It completely has something to do with that. I think it was God, taking us out of that situation and moving us into a better situation. And obviously, I would never wish upon anybody to get physically and sexually abused. It's the worst thing, like, that could ever happen to a young child. But I would not trade my story for the world, right? Like, I wouldn't, because now I have a platform. We have a platform to be able to help young kids and even older adults to use their voice and speak up, especially when, times get hard, and because they're going to. But that's just a position that I was put in. So I accept that wholeheartedly. In high school, kind of moving out of that younger stage, high school was, like, to me, it was kind of a up and down, trying to figure out who the hell I was. I mean, I'm the kid who's the only in my Catholic school, because I got kicked out of public school for beating up a kid who was basically racist and was calling me the N-word, and he wouldn't stop. So I beat him up and they kicked me out. And even the principal, to this day, I got it in my head. He's just like, man, I don't want to do this, but I got to. I'm like, so you're just gonna allow racism in your high school? Like, that's cool. And he's like, oh, no. I'm like, yeah, no, like, it is. That's what you're saying, essentially. But I got kicked out of 8th grade, did summer school, and then moved into 9th grade into Catholic school. But I was the only kid, like, from my neighborhood around in that school, and I was just trying to fit in. I'm the kid that's walking around with freaking red hair because I tried to dye my hair like freaking Cisco, and like super light skin, bro.
Oh, come on, bro. You had dye. I used peroxide.
Just
Bro,
wilding out, bro.
come on, bro. I use peroxide, bro.
That's probably why I got all these grades forming, bro. But no, man, just just trying to truly figure out who the hell I was, man. Just a identity crisis. The worst thing that happened to me in high school was I was introduced to drugs, man. Like I was introduced to weed, early on. I seen it a lot of times, and I loved it. And shit, man, I was going through my aunt's liquor cabinet when I was like 13, 14 years old. It was always to try to find an outlet to not be in the present state of mind. It was always to try to like get my mind off of something, right? People don't really even realize this either, but as a young kid, man, there were so many times I tried to kill myself as a young kid. Like, and I didn't even realize it, like what I was doing.
Straight up.
Like literally trying to wrap like, cords around my neck and trying to suffocate myself and try to like basically like self-medicate myself with liquor and whatever I could find. Going through my aunt's, cabinet and finding pills and all, you name it. I was trying to do it. That's why when, my brother actually was into a lot of stuff too. And we got caught up with the wrong people. But anytime that we were trying something new, I was like, cool, like, let's do it. And I just, you name it, I was trying to do it. So high school was just like, man, just really, really trying to figure out who the hell I was. But I think some of the highlights of that period was the fact that I watched my brother Tony go from like here on the football field to like all the way superstardom. So I'm like, yo, like if my brother can make it and do all these great things and be a great student, like I could have a chance.
Yeah.
I started, hanging around different people, started playing football, had a lot of success with it. And I always just wanted to be in my brother's footsteps. Like I wanted to be 77. Like that was my guy. Like he was the man. And, thankfully I just got around good mentors. And bro, my high school D-line coach is now the chief of police. Dude used to whoop my ass when I was bad. He was basically my dad.
Yeah.
I didn't know any better. I was the kid that would flip out when things didn't go my way. I would run away from them. I would constantly get angry and be like, nah, man, I'm not doing this no more, and I'll walk out of practice until one day he literally gets into his Chevy Tahoe. It was like this maroon Chevy Tahoe, the old school ones, the old. And bro, I'm walking up on alongside the sidewalk, and he literally like pulls up on the sidewalk and like almost hits me. I'm like, yo, like I turn around, I'm screaming, I'm yelling. He's like, get your ass in the car. I'm like, no, I'm not getting in the car. He's like, man, you want to go to jail? You want to go to jail for all the stuff you've been doing? Get in the car. And he literally drove me around town, drove me down to into the city, and was like, this is where you're gonna end up. Like legit on my street where I grew up. Dude selling whatever. Like, he's like, bro, if you don't stop that, this is how you're gonna end up. And I finally told him, I was like, there's so much other stuff that you don't even know what's going on. Nobody wants to even listen, to what's going on at home. And I told him a little bit, but I didn't tell him all of it because I'm like, man, I'm not about to just be the reason why I eradicate my family.
Yeah.
But I told him a good enough amount to where he was like, okay, I'm gonna help you out. We'll figure it out what we got to do if it's keeping you after school to figure out, your training, stuff like that. We'll keep you occupied. But he made me promise right then and there, like I gotta straighten up my life, or he had no choice, but to basically turn me in. And that would have been the history of that. But man, without him, man, like golly, bro, like that was a really, really positive influence and first like male influence that I had that was like, okay, this is how you be a man, basically. This is how you tell the truth. This is how you look another man in the eye and say, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. You don't run from stuff. You fight through it. You don't find an excuse. You know, you're on time for everything. You show up. You're respectful. You know, if you don't know something, ask questions. You know, that was like the first time I'd ever heard somebody like that giving me advice that was like real concrete. And I knew it was coming from a great place. It wasn't coming from, hey, you just gotta, like, I'm just trying to help this kid because I want to help myself.
Yeah.
You know, there was no agenda to it.
So with that being said, you had somebody that you trusted, right? So a lot of
Yeah.
people don't have that. So you were able to confide in him and tell him just a little bit into your life. So because of that, he was empathetic to that and he understood. Like he didn't question you anymore. He didn't go try to tear apart your family. He just wanted to help that person.
Yeah.
How did that help you in coaching? How did that help you when you got into the coaching world and the strength conditioning world?
It helped me exponentially, man, especially for where I'm at now. Our demographic of kids, where they grow up in, you know, the South Florida area, and like just, man, some of the stories that these kids have told me personally, and also like our strength staff, bro, most of the time it's I go in my office, I take my whistle off, I take my hat off. I'm like, yo, you're talking to Jeff Eaton now. You ain't talking to Coach Eaton no more. What's up? Right. And I just sit there and I listen. I don't even say a word, bro.
How was that evolved? How was that evolved from UNLV? And then I'm going to tell a story that I remember.
Man, you know what, man? I think at UNLV, man, I was really caught up in just the limelight of being the second assistant and trying to be the man and trying to figure it out while still navigating, you know, within my own career. But also, I think that was one of the greatest learning experiences that I could have had out of my career, going in, not knowing what it's like to be the number 2 guy, you know, with more responsibilities and trying to build you know, an intern program from literally nothing, trying to figure out what to do with no resources. You know, I think I definitely made a lot of mistakes along the lines where I didn't listen enough, even to my own self. You know, I didn't trust my own instincts. I didn't listen to enough people. You know, when I was there, it was always like I had to answer just because I'm the quote unquote second guy.
Yeah.
So I honestly fell into that trap, you know, kind of looking back on it now. But I think it's evolved to a place where, bro, like I just put myself in people's shoes, number one, but I also just try to meet the guys where they're at. And it doesn't even just have to be the guys. Like I talk to the other athletes that are in there because we're a multi-sport weight room right now. So I get a chance to be around females and different sports and, you know, I guess different diversity in sport, you know, because there's different athletes that that are around that are training. So to me, it's evolved to where I just like, I let them pour into my heart and I just sit there and listen.
I think that's where I saw Coach Eaton. I always call you Coach. I don't even call you Jeff because just out of respect. But I think that's where I saw you evolve because I did see that. The first day I came on that campus, we had, that first week we had pool. And Coach Bell was like, Jarrod, can you do pool? So I was like, bro, man, this is what I do. Right. And I walked in the tight end and Kenny, I got into it with. Those are the first 2 guys. And then by Boise State, which was later in the season, they were asking me to come sit at the table with them. So, and I had DBs, I had skills, I had DBs and receivers. Yep. So we had grown to start talking like about a lot of things. I was giving Kenny, people don't even know, but I was giving Kenny these fake sugar pills. And he thought they was energy pills. And I was like, bro, don't tell Coach, man. You know what I'm saying? So like he started cramping up. I promise you, he was like, I was giving it to everybody. They was like, Coach, man, I feel crunk, man. I'm like, bro, these are sugar pills. I ain't got no money. You know what I'm saying? Like these were literally sugar pills that I was giving to them, telling them that. And I remember Kenny cramped up that game where they had like that 99-yard run for the touchdown. And I ran to get him some mustard to take away cramps. And I was stretching him. And he looked at me and was like, man, thank you. You know what I'm saying? And when I found out that he had taken his life, it really hurt me because I knew, and I don't even know if you remember, I had told you I knew he was struggling because those two brothers, I don't even speak their names. They were a lot like me and my younger brother. They were always fighting. They were always trying to prove their point. They were always trying to do that. But I don't know if you noticed throughout the season, they actually started coming in and hanging out and talking to us.
Oh yeah, yeah, a lot more, a lot
lot.
more.
Like
Yeah.
they never, bro, they would come in and just kick it. They would come in and talk. And when I found out that he had taken his life, I felt responsible. I felt as though that I didn't give him the talk that I should have, that I didn't, because regardless of what people believe, man, we prayed. I ended up praying with these guys, and 6 of these young men got saved, not because of me, because of our actions. You know what I'm saying? Because we were screaming, yelling the crazy music in the weight room, and then we were still being docile and praying with them. I was praying with them in the corner, right? And then they were seeing me not drinking and not going out with coaches, and they couldn't understand it because they were like, hold on, coach, you're not like them. And I'm like, I really am. Like, I'm a step away from them. I'm like, I want to be out there. I want to be doing the things that they're doing. But I just couldn't because I knew my weakness. So when I found out about Kenny, it sent me, I had a job offer. And when I found out, they left me a voicemail. Clay called me and left me a voicemail, man, and it broke me. And I said, I'll never go back to coaching again. And that's why I turned that job down. And it shook me because I had an opportunity to be with these kids. We was with them from breakfast to wake up call, to knocking on their doors, to making sure they in the room at night.
Right.
And I realized that no matter how funny, no matter how uplifted they were, no matter, because he was a jokester, bro. He was always clowning. He was always that. He was dying inside.
Right.
I never asked him what's wrong. I never asked him if he was all right. I never did. It was just next rep. It was just, all right, we'll tighten that string up, that strap up on your shoulder a little more to keep it in place.
Yep.
All right, let me give you this fake sugar pill so you out there thinking you got energy. You know what I'm saying? It was, all right, we got to get 10 pounds on you. And I think that faulted because I am a head coach. You know what I'm saying? Like, I gave everything I had, but I think that's what brought halt to what could have been my strength and conditioning career, because I couldn't. And with my struggles, I couldn't carry the weight of another young man's struggles and my struggles and know that I could have indirectly or directly affected that, because after football, he had nothing.
Right.
And that wasn't the case. Why is it that you want to talk about mental health and the aspect of your brother, right?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, man, golly, man. Anytime I hear my brother's name, man, I just get like, it still makes me mad to this day that he's gone. He passed, shit, man, it's 2022, so it's been almost 5 years now. My oldest brother, Tony, that was like the guy that you just wanted to be around him. Like, I tell people all the time, he could have been president of the United States. That's how smart he was. And I, like, as a young kid and even as a teenager and in college, I'm like, damn, man, like, I wish I was as smart as my damn brother, man. Like, why I felt like I got the short end of the stick, man. Everything just came so natural to him. But to be honest, bro, like, my brother struggled with mental health issues before he had passed. I've struggled with it. I still struggle with my anxiety, depression. In college, I guess it would be my junior year going into my senior year, the last year. I had a really bad breakup, And, you know, just all the stuff that had happened previous in my life had just like, it was literally like somebody just lit a match and just threw it on the fire, and just, it was like, okay, there's no, you can't put this fire out now. But I had, you know, like I said, I had a really bad breakup, and a lot of people had thought it was just because, you know, I was like down and out because of the whole breakup. Yeah, I was upset about it. I was angry. I was, you know, frustrated, whatever. But like, I had so many wounds from my childhood past that had just literally came out. And I didn't know how to control them. I did not know how to confront my demons. I did not know how to confront even just talking about, yo, like I've been abused, I've been sexually abused. Like, I don't know how to get this stuff out. I don't know how to talk to people. The only way that I knew how to do it was go on a football field and literally hit somebody, because it was legal. That was my way of expressing my anger and frustration, all those other things. And when football was gone, it was like, okay, lose your identity. Who are you now? Right? You go from being the guy that like is decent at football, whatever, and I get hurt, and then I'm done playing football, and now I'm like in this whole different mind frame, a whole space and place where I don't have to wake up at a certain time anymore. Like what? Like I don't know what to do, right? But then that happened, and it just fast forwarded everything, and it was bad, man. My anxiety was through the roof. My depression was at an all-time low. I started having suicidal thoughts. I mean, literally every day I was like, yo, like there's no reason why I should be here. Like I don't want to be here anymore. Like I would tell my best friend Ali, like, dog, like I don't see a reason for why I need to be here.
Coach, how tall are you? How big are you?
6'1.5". I'm gonna get the half too.
Yeah, I feel you. And how much do you weigh now?
Man, I'm about 280 on a good day.
So how do you carry, and we'll leave them with this, how do you carry your mental health at that 6'1.5" frame, that 2+? How do you carry the struggles you've been with, and how would you tell someone else how to carry it? What would you tell them?
First and foremost, I would tell them, listen to the people that are trying to get you help. Because at the time, before I tried to commit suicide, I was not receptive to trying to get help. I was always like, okay, man, let's just go get messed up at the bar. Let's go get drunk. Let's just go put a, you know, it's like putting a raincoat on.
Yeah.
Like go so you don't get wet. Like constantly just trying to run away from it. And I didn't listen. And I should have. And I wish that my mind where it was at was more receptive to it. So again, I would tell the people first and foremost, if you got people that are trying to help you, like just, it's okay. It is completely okay for those people to understand and know that what you're going through, because the worst thing that can happen is you can lose your life, right? And your life matters. And the people that are trying to help you, they want to help save your life. They don't want to judge you. They don't want to put you in a category. They don't want to make you feel like you're alone. They want to wrap their arms around you. The second thing I would say is go on the websites, go online, try to find something that, you know, as far as like a mental health website, dude, there's so many. Like there's mentalhealth.gov, there's NAMI, which is the National Alliance for Mental Illness. Literally, if you go on Google and you type in mental health resources in whatever state you're in or whatever city you're in, there's hundreds of resources that can come up. Most of them are all free. They're all state funded. Some of them are federal funded, to where you can go and get help, at least for somebody to talk to you. That's the first avenue. And then from there, if you're a working individual, your insurance should be able to help pay for any co-pays that you have to have if you want to see a licensed therapist or, you know, a psychiatrist, or even like a mental wellness coach. Like we have a couple mental wellness coaches at Miami. They're not like licensed psychiatrists, but they just help in certain avenues. All that stuff is covered. But that's the thing, man. Like, people don't realize like that there are resources out there. That's part of the problem with mental health, the stigma that comes around it. People are so afraid. They're like, well, oh man, I don't want people to know that I'm going through this.
Yeah.
Okay, like, you don't have to tell the whole world. You tell your story when you're ready to tell your story. Like, bro, I'm 36 years old. I'm about to be 37 in 3 days, right? It's taken me, bro, honestly, man, it's probably taken me till I was about 32, maybe 33, to be okay with my own situation, to be okay to be on a podcast with you, to tell people that, hey, I was abused, I was sexually abused, I tried to commit suicide in college, I tried to take my own life, right? Like, that is a huge burden and a huge weight that got lifted off. But had I not like listened to those people after I went to, treatment and therapy and all the different things that helped me to get me even back where I am now, like, I'm not all the way whole. I still got issues. I still got problems that I deal with. But I had to go through that. God forbid it gets to that point, but I had to go through it. But now I know that how important it is to do stuff like this, to have a conversation, to reach out to somebody and just say, hey, bro, are you good? Like, I can tell you right now, bro, like my athletes, sometimes they probably get mad at me, and they do, because I'm like, yo, are you good? And I'll do it in the middle of a lift because I know they're struggling. I know, so I can tell the signs and symptoms, right? I can tell when they're acting erratic, when they're just, off in space sometimes, when they come in, they're mopey, either they haven't eaten or something like traumatic might have happened at home or with them. So like we talked about earlier, like, bro, I'm just meeting them where they're at. It's no longer, hey, I'm gonna continue to put my ego aside and put my athletes first. And most of the time, I would say 99% of the time, they start to open up because they're like, coach, like, how would you know? You never dealt with anything, because some of them don't know my story.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool. Matter of fact, let's talk right after this lift. Give me 10 minutes of your time. Let's go walk on the practice field. And I go for a walk with them, and I'm like, dude, you want to tell me you don't think I know where you're coming from, bro? I tried to kill myself in college, bro, because I couldn't handle pressure. I couldn't handle the anxiety. I couldn't handle severe depression. I was physically and sexually abused by a family member and a member of a friend of the family. And they're like, oh my God, coach, I can't believe that would happen to someone like you. I'm like, bro, mental health in all the situations and circumstances, it doesn't have a race, it doesn't have a gender, it doesn't have a socioeconomic status. It doesn't have none of that. Yeah. It can happen to the person in the limelight, or it can happen to the person on the bottom of the totem pole. It doesn't matter, right? So when they feel that, when they understand that there's vulnerability and transparency from me and from everybody else around there, I mean, it's like the floodgates open up. That's why I'm so passionate about getting, not only my story, but just to like pick up my phone and see the DMs that I get from people when they see my story and see podcasts like this. And they're like, I'm struggling. What do I do? Okay, let's figure out what's going on. Okay, is it something on a really big scale? Like, I've walked, and I'm not taking the credit for anything. God takes all the credit for me. I've literally walked like 5 or 6 people on Instagram, just random kids that hit me up. I walked them back off the ledge and I got them help. Yep. And now, they hit me up and they're like, thank you so much. I'm in therapy. I'm talking to my mom and dad again. I'm able to like re-engage myself in this society. I feel like I'm a part of it. And it's like, dude, like, everything happens for a reason, man. Like, I thank God every day that I get to wake up and see my kids and see my wife and just have an opportunity to fulfill my purpose, man. Like, it's just why I want to get my brother's story out. He, man, golly, man, God rest his soul. 35 years old when he had a heart attack, a massive heart attack that, you know, just took him in the snap of a finger. You know, I wake up to a call at like 8:30 at night, and this is when I was at Purdue. And I'm just sitting there, and my brother Andy is like just hysterical crying. And I'm like, yo, like, calm down. I can't hear you. Like, what's going on? And he's like, man, it's Tony. And I'm like, oh man, like I could only imagine like what's going on. And he just kept screaming and screaming. I'm like, yo, I can't hear you. Like I can't, like I hung up on him. I hung up on my brother. And he called me back and he was like, man, he's gone. Like, gone. I'm like, I just talked to him like 3 weeks ago. So, man, if people don't realize how fragile life is and just how blessed and how fortunate we are, just as people to even be able to do the things that we do every day, man, I think we're losing sight of what's truly important. It's always been vulnerability, transparency, and just 100% authenticity, man. Just keeping it real. And
well, that's why you were my brother from day one. That's why I feel like no matter your 500-600 pound squat, your 500-600 pound deadlift, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's who you are. Like, the biggest thing for me is for me to take back power over what I did it was cathartic. I had to write. And when I wrote this book, it was about the struggles that I had been through from ages 4 to 10, from standing on a ledge to think about committing suicide, like you said, without even knowing what it was.
yeah.
So, dude, I commend you. Like, that's why God has placed you at so many different places across the country. Like, that's why you're now with the U. You know what I'm saying? Like, when people say that, it is a Power 5 school. It is one of the top schools in the country. When you think of football, when you think of athletics, University of Miami is top. And it's because you just opened up a line of communication.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You know how many people I've reached out to do these things? It's not because it's people that I know and that I've had experiences with, but it's because it's uncomfortable. So thank you for being uncomfortable, because I do like, yes, we have to raise our platforms. Yes, we have to grow, but it really is that one kid that when I didn't have that person, when you didn't think you had that person, for you to open up that line of communication lets me know, no matter your big stature, no matter where you're at, like, you are like me. Like, we can touch and agree on certain things because we've been through similar situations.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the Coach Eaton that I know was aggressive. That's why he was so passionate. That's why he was over emotional. That's why it means a lot for me, for you to wait for me when you know you have bigger things going on in the background because of that. And that's why you're a great father, because you're paying attention to those signs, to your son or your daughter. That's why you're a great husband, because you're paying attention to those signs. Because, and I'm done, but I have went through a spiral these last 3 months to where I woke up. I'm blessed. I have a wife. I have 3 kids. We have a nice house. We're growing. Like, things are happening for me, but I've not wanted to be here. I realize that I have to get help. So I'll say this: yes, those people that are trying to help you, but you have to realize within yourself that you need it. And when I realized it, I had to start talking. Like, the Megan today asked me, Jarrod, are you able to talk about this in this headspace? And it's been hard because you're trying to be a good man, you're trying to be a good husband, you're trying to be a good businessman, you're trying to be good for everybody else when you're not good. And it's okay not to be good. So I commend you, man. I'm thankful for you. I'm always praying for you, bro. Like, people don't know, like, a friend is somebody that you meet and you don't even have to communicate with. But when you talk to them, you don't miss a beat and you'll always be there. Bro, you changed my life going up there. You changed from picking me up day one, never knowing who I was. And for you allowing me to coach beside you, bro, I don't think you realize how you changed my life, because I was on my way to stepping off that bridge. I'll leave them with this. I'm always up and down. I'm always going to have those same feelings. I tell people like, Jarrod, do they change? I still think about these things, but it's the reaction that I have
Right.
after those thoughts that make me who I am today.
Yep.
So, man, I'm going to send you a copy of my book. It's called Nothing Concealed. And I want you to, because I want to know, I learned with communication, I couldn't tell someone like you, I couldn't be 6 foot in stature and a half. I couldn't be that. So I had to take power back over my life and write it.
Yeah.
But then once I wrote it, I realized that people will see who I am for what I wrote, and people will be able to see that, and they're like, oh, we're going to sell this. Yeah. And that was scary to me because now I'm exploiting myself, not for a value of $1, but for someone else to enjoy the ride of me telling about my lifehood from a child point of view. But then I also had to realize in that sense is like, whoever reads it, I hope they see that life can turn for good no matter where you're at. And that's why I'm talking to you, because it is. Jeff Eaton, no matter all his internships, volunteer, all these things, this man is at one of the most prestigious schools in the country, and he ain't stopped yet. And he is going to eventually be the head guy because those kids talk to you as a head coach. So Jeff, man, I'm thankful for you. I'm praying for you and Beth and your little ones, man. And I just appreciate you taking time, bro. For real.
Absolutely. Bro, anytime, man. Anytime.
And I want you to know, if we would have ever locked up on that sideline, I had you.
Oh, man, he ain't gonna never live that one down.
Bro, I had a double leg on you. Oh, it was going down. You probably would have threw my little butt over the stadium, because when I grabbed you, you was gonna feel every little bit of my 5'8.5" frame. You was gonna feel every bit of it, boy. I was gonna hold on, boy.
My boy,
man, I love you, bro, man. I'm proud of you, dog. You're killing it. And keep spreading the word, because it is. Mental health to me is who I am. Mental awareness is who we are.
Yeah. Because
I live in that realm every day of mental health, but mental awareness is who we are. And that's because who we are, because we're spreading it. So, absolutely, man, God bless you and have a good one, dog.
Love you, bro. Appreciate you, man. Yes, sir.